Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 110 of the Seezus Show. It's yours truly, Sir Seezus, and I'm back again with another fun-filled episode. But before I get into today's hottest topics, I'd like to do two things. One, make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at Sir Seezus, at the Seezus Show. Seezus Show is available on all major platforms, so do yourself a favor, check that out. Two, I like to always rehash last week's episode. So Daryl Sharp, my brother, and I essentially focused on first round playoff previews. We're right with some things and wrong with some things as well too. So I kind of want to keep that same energy flowing. So I'm bringing him back for this upcoming episode on second round semifinals preview matches. So keep in mind that this was pre-recorded. So we had a what if scenario. What if Dallas goes on to play Utah or the Clippers going to play Utah? If I'm a betting man, I'm going to say Dallas, but my heart is going to go with the Clippers, Team Kawhi all day. So without further ado, let's get to today's hottest topics.
What's good, man? It's good to be back.
Good to be back again, round two. I mean, we had a couple, series right, and we had a couple series wrong. So hopefully we get it right around this time, man. How you been?
I'm chilling, man. Yesterday was tough for LeBron fans, but it's part of the game. It's good to be back, though. Talking to you, catching up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's just get straight to it, man. So yesterday was a little devastating, I have to say. And LeBron James took his first ever playoff first round L, which is crazy. The Suns ended up beating them by 13 points, 113 to 100. And Devin Booker was sensational. Went for over 20 in the first quarter, ended up with 47 points and 11 rebounds, and pretty much ended the night in the first quarter as well, too. It was pretty crazy because everyone kind of expected LeBron James to give this heroic 40-point triple-double type of night and whatnot. He played relatively well. He at least attempted 26 shots, ended up with 29 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Didn't go out in the fashion that I wanted to, but it was just kind of crazy. And just watching him that night, there was points in time where he doesn't even realize. I don't know if he realized, anyone's told him before, but his body language, like, he needs to kind of control that in a sense because he's kind of leader. Well, he is a leader, and sometimes it seems like, all right, if I'm giving off bad vibes, then that's just going to reflect on the team as well too. There'll be some times where you get hacked or someone miss a defensive assignment or he misses a shot and he just kind of seems checked out, kind of late to getting on defense X, Y, and Z. But they did all that they could do. But at the end of the day, we kind of knew if AD wasn't going to be available to play, then they weren't going to win as well too. So originally we had both the Lakers in 5. Obviously, the Lakers actually ended up losing the 6. But it's kind of crazy because AD, he had a growing injury. He had a knee injury as well too. He just had so many injuries just accumulated, and it kind of came into fruition as well too. And I think the Lakers could have found a way to take Game 6, but in the same sense is like, I think with AD going down in those first 5 minutes, that was kind of demoralizing. And then you can see how it was because they were down. Man, I can't remember how much they were down. But after that, you kind of knew it was over. At least I would have had the mindset that 81 play and just don't play him at all. But I think he kind of caved into the outside world for a second, and also I think he wanted to be available for his teammates. But with a growing strain like that, you can't come back in one day. You know what I'm saying?
It's real.
So that was crazy, man. But what were your thoughts on that game? And what were your thoughts on the Phoenix Suns throughout the series?
Um, I knew Phoenix was a good team all year. Um, like you mentioned, I thought the Lakers were going to win in 5. I thought if healthy, Anthony Davis and LeBron James would be able to succumb to Phoenix offense of DeAndre Ayton, who played like probably one of the best centers in the NBA, and Devin Booker. I mean, he showed why he's probably one of the elite NBA guards. But even with that being said, I felt like with LeBron and Anthony Davis healthy, the Lakers would be a tough team to beat. and they won 2 straight games in a row when LeBron and were both on the court. But I think with no Anthony Davis, an old Marc Gasol, Drummond, who really doesn't know the play, and you're not really getting that much production from your role players, and you're shooting historically low from the 3-point line, you're not going to be anybody. So when you look at all those different factors, the Suns were too much for the Lakers. And they showed they had 2 games, I think the Suns opened up with a 20-point lead. Part of it now is the Lakers not showing any type of sense of urgency. Other parts of it, like they were just overwhelming the Lakers. Like they couldn't do anything with Devin Booker. He was scoring at will. And I think when you realize that, even with the kind of hampered Chris Paul, the Lakers had nothing, because LeBron can't be the facilitator and score 35 like this is 2010 LeBron, right? When your starting point guard gives you 0 points, there's nothing you can do. So,
yeah.
So it's
That's
tough.
Crazy. So another subtopic I want to get into, since we're talking, evaluating the Lakers and LeBron James and whatnot, I got a couple hot takes for you.
What's up?
One, everybody's questioning AD's health, and I think that should be something to kind of look at moving forward. Obviously he got paid, he a champion, he's set for life and whatnot as well too, but he's only, I think, 27, maybe 28 years old, so he should just be hitting his prime right now. You got people like Charles Barkley calling him street clothes. You got all over social media, just wild stuff that are getting tossed his way as well too. Do you think that he's just built fragile, or do you think he can take the proper steps to basically not only regain his strength, but just be durable? Because I feel like his body isn't really used to the grind like this. And obviously, if there's any teams to have an explanation / excuse for anything, it's the Miami Heat, and it's also the Los Angeles Lakers because of the fast turnaround. But it just felt like every single year, I don't even know anymore. It's like, yo, are you going to be ready when it matters the most as well too? So do you think his durability is going to be a concern moving forward? Because there should be no reason why LeBron's in year 18 and he's the most fit person on his team, which is ridiculous. I know he spends like 1.5 million on his body every year, but specifically focused on AD, do you think his durability should be a concern moving forward?
So 2 things, right? I think you have to take into consideration that he's a big man, and the season was condensed. He didn't have his normal 3 months to really rehabilitate and really train. He's doing that all on the fly. A lot of players got hurt this year, right? A lot of players got hurt this year because of the NBA season. So I wouldn't throw all of that on just Anthony Davis. You have to look at the entire context of the NBA season. Now, durability is an issue for players that are getting older. So maybe Anthony Davis may have to try new things with his trainer and really talk about how he's going to develop and build his body to take on the grind of the NBA season. But this whole narrative that people are saying Anthony Davis is fragile, I don't really fuck with it, to me, because this is a guy that showed you after the NBA took like 3 months off and returned to the bubble, he dominated. Like, this is a player, like, he didn't have any major injuries, I think, last season, right? When he had his full reps, his full training. Like, I think this is a new narrative, and I think this is something Anthony and his team are going to come back next year and be like, yo, this is what we're about. Now, you can't explain a freak accident, a freak injury, but there were a lot of soft tissue injuries this year in the NBA. So, like, that's just the nature of a sport and the nature of the condensed season, where players really didn't have that much training time and you had to get right back to it like that. So I think the Lakers and Anthony Davis should be fine. I would be somewhat concerned because he is our most important player and our best player, and we've given him this much amount of money, over $100 million. So durability is a concern, but I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Okay. Another thing I want to, raise to you as well, like it just seemed a lot of times, like I said, we expected LeBron James to just, be a full out freight train the whole time,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Even last year he was looking like that as well too. Now I don't know if I want to, attribute this to, like I said, the condensed season, the fast turnaround, the fact that this was, aside from his groin injury he had 2 seasons ago, this year he bummed up his ankle. So I couldn't really tell because it showed flashes of his athleticism, a la the alley hoop that he caught from, homie, what's his name, Alex Caruso, or how he's toying with Jay Crowder and whatnot as well too. There seemed to be spurts where he looked like himself, and there would also seem to be spurts where he was just very passive and he kind of wanted to just play off ball a little bit more. He wasn't being necessarily aggressive and kind of doing what Luke is essentially doing, where he's spotting out the mismatch and just getting to the rack as well too. Um, I don't know if you, I don't know like what was going on, but he didn't necessarily look like the LeBron James of old as well too. So,
Hmm.
hot question for you: is it the injuries, or do you think we're kind of witnessing and we're just not truly accepting it yet? But do you think we're in that era where LeBron is? I mean, obviously he's older, but he's not in his prime anymore. He's like on the decline.
On the decline. I think I think it's a combination of he's getting older in age, but also he got hurt this year, right? A high ankle sprain ain't no joke. So that's something that obviously derail his ability to be, you know, mobile, explosive, and stuff like that. But remember, he averaged before his injury, LeBron averaged 25.2 points this year at 36 years old, putting up those type of numbers. And he was in before he got hurt. I think he was top 3, top 4 for MVPs again this year. So and when you get a high ankle sprain, those things typically take months to heal. And then you're talking about throwing somebody back in the most high flying, physical, arguably the most physical sports in American sports, and telling them to produce at that high level again. So for me, I think it's a combination of injuries and just, again, the condensed season, players really not having that much time to really rehabilitate their bodies. Now, I think LeBron's going to come back next year, energized, motivated, and do what he does. Give you 26 a game, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. That's what he does. So I'm not concerned about it because I know the type of work he puts into his body.
All right, so we already know you can argue he's either the second best player or the GOAT, whatever you want to say
Mm-hmm.
as well too. Does this first round exit kind of change that narrative? Like, can he even be considered to be a GOAT anymore? The GOAT anymore?
I think, yeah. Um, yeah, I
Mm.
mean, of course, I feel like he's still going to be in the conversation to being one of the GOATs that played basketball. Um, Again, I feel like the Lakers weren't healthy this year. Like it's not, to me, you can't really rate a player based on not considering the health of his team, right? If you're not healthy, you can't expect a team or even a player to perform at the best of their ability. In terms of the GOAT conversation, my thoughts on the GOAT conversation is you're never gonna find a GOAT. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's never gonna be one criteria that fits anyone. I think LeBron, when it's all said and done, he will have incredible accomplishments and he'll have an incredible career. But still, he may be my GOAT, he may be your GOAT, but what does that even mean, right? I think in terms of legacy, he lost it in the first round after going 14-0. Like, motherfuckers lose, B. Like we playing with other great players. Like, it's gonna happen eventually. But I don't think this is a stain on his legacy because he wasn't healthy. The team wasn't healthy. So we can't really rate someone if their team isn't healthy. You feel me?
Also, he in the Wild Wild West too.
He
Been in
won
the
the
West
West.
three. He been in the West 3 years, two
And
times. Once the first year he didn't make the playoffs. Obviously, he was injured. Second year he got there, got AD. They got the number 1 seed.
and
Third
they
year
won.
he there. lost in the first round as well too. So I'm interested to see what happens moving forward as well.
Mm-hmm.
Another hot take before we leave LeBron James, um, and I probably know you're gonna probably go back to your firepower, which is the injuries as well too. But is he still a top five player? I mean, we got a lot of talented players who are just bucket getters right now. You can argue
Mm-hmm.
that, not Kyrie, KD, James Harden, Jokic, Embiid, Steph. You can argue those. Like, there's interchangeable
Yeah,
players that
for
you can argue
sure.
who are top five. Do you think LeBron is still a top five player?
Absolutely. I think when you consider what he does, I think only a few players in the NBA does what LeBron does. And I mean, I'm thinking like Luka Doncic, James Harden, who can manipulate the game of basketball with their passing and creativity with um, their ability to score from passing and setting other players up. Now, if you're talking about the most dominant players, I don't think LeBron is probably the most dominant at this stage in his career because the physical aspects are diminishing due to age. But in terms of thinking the game, understanding the game at such a high level, I think that's where his edge is going to be. And I still think like a healthy LeBron a healthy LeBron is a hard LeBron to beat four times. Like, I know everybody's got their whole narrative thing after this, but remember, they won 2 straight games against this Phoenix team. Like, like people was out there saying we about to smoke that Devin Booker pack last week. Like that's what they were saying. So it's interesting how people and their narratives change like daily. So I don't know. I think I think LeBron and the Lakers team are going to come back revamped, re-energized, refocused. And then next year people are probably going to say, yo, I've never seen somebody at 37 this great. That's what they do.
Nah, I agree with you with that. I just want to pick your brain a little bit as well too. Before we move on, man, you named the players.
Mm,
Got Andre Drummond in the buyout.
yeah.
Re-signed Kuzma. Did a sign and trade for Dennis Schroeder.
Mm,
They got Wesley Matthews. They got Marc Gasol. On paper, they got Montrezl Harrell reigning six man of the year. Obviously, Jordan Clarkson just won this one, but last year's reigning, 6 man of the year as well too. So there were so many, tweaks to their roster, and you can argue that on paper they got better, at least from an offensive standpoint as well too.
yeah.
At the end of the day, role players didn't necessarily help out LeBron as well too, and that's something that we can also talk about. Um, but it seems like to me, even every year that LeBron's even been on the Lakers, they were always like one of the worst 3-point shooting teams. And if you look at his formula for success when he's won, excluding this past year when he was in Miami, even Cleveland to an extent, and then the second go around with Cleveland, he's always had shooters around him every single time, kind of like how Luka is, kind of like how Giannis team is built. Do you think that? I mean, you got to shake up the roster. Obviously, the only untouchables are probably LeBron and AD, right? Do
Yeah.
you think that Rob Pelinka has his work cut out for him, and do you think he can basically revamp this team to, be more of a today's era team? Because they're kind of an old school team. They play inside
Yeah.
out when you think about it. But do you think that they can revamp this team and essentially get them to where they need to be? Because the West is only getting better. We see what
Mm-hmm.
Jokic's doing right now, and Murray's not there. Michael Porter Jr. is emerging, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Utah ain't going nowhere. Kawhi is more likely probably going to resign with the Clippers. Phoenix is on the come up right now. So there's so many teams right now who have adapted to that post Golden State Warriors style of play. But do you think that Rob Pelinka can pull it off? I mean, I just don't know who are assets on the Lakers right now, given how bad they played on it to move things around.
um, I think Rob Pelinka and the Lakers got have their work cut out for them. There's 3 ways you get better in the offseason: free agency, draft, and what else, right? Signing players, I guess, right? That would be considered free agency. I think they have to look at who's out there, who's available. Do you want to sign Dennis Schroeder? He turned down a 4-year, $84 million contract.
Damn clown.
Do you want to? He's probably going to be asking for $100 million. do you want to pay him that? That's one thing you have to consider. The second thing is, what are you going to do with Montrezl Harrell, right? Are you going to accept his team option? Like, what are you going to do with that? You have players who kind of built that championship DNA, but you have to look at it like LeBron is getting older. Anthony Davis had histories with injuries. If they go down, do I have a team that can still compete at a high level? What the Suns showed us is that no, we don't. So we have to find sharpshooters. Like, we can't shoot that poorly from the three. What are we gonna do with Kyle Kuzma? He's still under contract. Are we gonna his value is probably low because of his performance. So how are we going to try to find more talented players at his position who can defend and create shots? Because he was supposed to be like a player that came off the bench, added spark, added defense, but his performance didn't match that, like what they wanted from him. And that may be due to the fact that they had different roles for Kyle Kuzma, right? So I think Rob Pelinka is like, yo, LeBron and AD are about winning championships. The Lakers are about winning championship. We don't really have that much cap space. So how are we going to create a team that's going to be formidable to really compete against the young killers that's coming out in the league? Because Luka coming back, the Warriors are coming back, and you forgot, like, you already have to deal with somebody who finished top 3 in MVP and Steph Curry, who's a basketball sniper. And now you have another Klay Thompson, and you have those players on those teams who are young but understand that system a year later. So now it's like, and LeBron going to be 37 years next year. So like, he probably want to for his legacy. I don't really like talking about legacy because it's something that's always evolving, but his legacy is going to be, how does he go out? How does he leave the game?
That is part of his legacy.
And again, to me, he's one of the greatest ever played, but that's something that people will talk about. And it's like Rob Pelinka has his work cut out for him too, because when you a Laker, they expect you to be at this level all the time. Like that shit, like finishing in the 7-8 playoff shit, that ain't Laker basketball to a lot of people. You saw Snoop Dogg posting memes, like we don't understand that. So it's gonna be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on from that, another person that we're gonna have to talk about as well too is Damian Lillard. So that Portland versus Nuggets series lived up to the hype.
For sure.
Obviously, all of us wanted to see a forcing in Game 7, but I think at Game 5 when he went bananas,
went crazy.
It went crazy for 55 points. 12 threes, and they went to what, double OT?
Double OT. He single-handedly
willed his team.
Yeah.
And he put them in position to do well. And you just had bonehead decisions after
bonehead
decisions as well too. Now, I think I predicted Portland in 7, and I think Portland in 6. And one of the main reasons why we predicted that was because of their revamped roster and the fact that Murray was the key aspect.
Yeah.
I thought that Murray was going to basically essentially be that closer in a crunch time situation. I just felt like Portland would have the edge as well too. But it seems like to me, if y'all don't think Jokic has arrived, if y'all don't think Jokic the MVP, then now's the time to start looking at that as well too. So some key things I want to point out. Damian Lillard played great, averaged 34 points, 10 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 45% from 3, 94% from the free throw line, and he played out of his mind. Nikola Jokic MVP, 33, 11, and 7. 33, 11, and 5.
Killer.
Shot 43% from 3, 92% from the free throw line, and shot 53% from the field. And our young emerging star, Michael Porter Jr., who I'm very high on, played pretty damn good. Averaged 26 the last 2 games to help close them out, but throughout the series, averaged 19 points, 7 rebounds as well too, and shot 90% from the 90% from the free throw line, 42% from the 3-point line as well too. So shout out to Denver as well. But more importantly, Damian Lillard, man, is just a guy who I think he's made 8 straight playoff appearances, only went to the conference finals once, once he got to the conference finals, obviously KD went down and they got swept from the Golden State Warriors as well too. And going into every year, I thought this was the year that they could, depending on how seedings went and whatnot. Obviously, the Lakers are unhealthy, and that would have been the team. The winner of Lakers and Phoenix would have been the team that they'd be playing. So, I thought with the addition of Robert Covington and getting Derrick Jones Jr. and trading to get what's the guy's name from Toronto? What's the guard's name?
Norman Powell.
Norman Powell. I thought with that mixed with the veteran presence that they were poised to make a deep playoff run. Like I said, with the addition of Murray going down, I thought that was really going to propel them to at least get to the second round as well too. But it just seems like time and time and time again, he always comes up short. And now it's just like I don't even know what Portland can do moving forward. They the only trade bid. I mean, the trade bid I see is a sign and trade with Norman Powell. He's going to be, I think, an unrestricted free agent. So you have to get him to agree to that. CJ McCollum, although he's a very great player, he's kind of undersized as well too, and that kind of also takes away from their defense. And then also you gotta look at Nurk as well too. He's a walking bucket, but he's kind of like an Ennis Cantor who he's full on the defensive end as well too. So I just think with the pieces that he has right now, you're either gonna have to shake up that roster, kind of like how the Lakers are right now. But it's kind of hard to bring in a player that's on it because honestly speaking, all these teams that are in the mix right now, they have either two all-star caliber players with them or another superstar caliber player to play alongside them for the most part as well too. So multiple all-stars or another superstar with them with that dynamic duo. We say that him and CJ are one of the best dynamic duos or backcourts or whatever you want to call it, but I just feel like it ain't enough no more. And I know with Dame, he's been preaching loyalty, 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 loyalty. He's been very adamant about how he wants to essentially retire as a Blazer, win a championship with a Blazer, have the parade over there and whatnot as well too, because it's a city that took a gamble on him, and showed him nothing but the most love as well too. But at what point, because to me it seems like he wants to do it on his terms, obviously, but at what point, if you want to be considered one of the greats as well too, they kind of only remember you not only based off your personal success, but what have you done as a team? What has he done as a leader? Have you won championships as well too? So right after he had his departure and took the L and spoke with the media and whatnot as well too. He posted on Instagram, obviously his fit and paying respect to Jokic, who's a dog by the way. He said, and I quote from Nipsey Hussle, "How long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meets preparation?" Now, some people took that and said, "Oh, if y'all ain't making moves, he gonna demand a trade." And some people took it as the grind just don't stop. Every year is a new opportunity to get better, for personnel to kind of change as well too. But when opportunity needs preparation, then I'm going to be ready as well too. Only the strong survive. So with Damian Lillard, what do you think is going to be? Because he's kind of locked in. He just signed that extension as well too, so I think he has an extra 4 years. So he won't even be a free agent until 2023. So realistically, he's gonna have to do what Harden wants to do if he wants to get out as well too. But with Dame, is it time to have a serious talk with management to see how they can get better? I mean, they've been trying every year, or is it just time like, yo, I'm what 29 years old, about to be 30? No, I'm 30 years old, about to be 31. Like I'm in my prime. Like I'm tired of trying. And every year it seems like he's always not himself, but his stars are not stars. His running mates are battling injuries, and he's putting more work in as well too. So by the time the playoffs hit, like you see with Game 6, he ain't have his legs with him no more.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on all that, man?
I like Dame. He one of the realest in our league. And when I say our league, the NBA is a community of fans and players. I think first management and Dame are going to have to sit down and be like, yo, what are we playing for? Are we playing for championships? Or are we just playing to compete, right? And if so, we've been one of the worst defensive teams for the last several years. Now, maybe this is a coaching thing as well. Maybe they're going to have to reevaluate and probably try to go and get a new coach. because like you said, Dame was gassing. Like after his game 5 performance, what do you expect from any other player like who poured their soul on the court that and literally your teammates ain't give you nothing? So like some of the rumors I've heard is, they might go after Cat, from the Timberwolves. That might be a player that they try to go out and sign. But realistically, Dame is under contract for the next several years. He's been super loyal to that organization. They don't really have to do anything. He can be mad all he wants. They don't really care, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how they go about it this offseason. Like, are you going to part ways? Are you going to keep CJ? Are you going to sign some of your free agents back? Like, you would think with the addition of those key defensive players that you mentioned, they would be a better defensive team. So what's the issue, right? Why can't we stop anybody in crunch time? Granted, Joker is a phenomenal NBA player, but like with no Jamal Murray, and I think Denver's starting point guard got hurt as well. Their starting shooting guard got hurt as well. You still letting them score 115 plus a game. So like, and Campazzo, who's like 5'9", 5'10", like is in like, why can't we stop people? Like, what's going on? And why is Damian Lillard scoring 12 points in an overtime team? We got 4 other teammates. Like, what's going on? And I think for Dame, it's like you reach a point in your career in any profession, like you feel like you're doing a lot and you feel like the organization isn't really giving you what you need to really advance. So you got to start thinking like, yo, is James Harden right or was he wrong? Like, I didn't see all the pictures I see of James Harden now, he just smiling. Like you got KD and Kyrie, it's whatever. I think, Dame might go over there and team up with the Lakers if that was possible. Like, yo, man, fuck all this. I'm about to play with Bron. But I think him and the management, that's gonna be a storyline I want everyone to pay attention to, because if they don't make no moves, you're gonna start seeing, in my opinion, a different Dame Lillard in terms of his relationship with the ownership. I don't want it to come to that because they've been, very on the outside looking in. It's been like a very mutual respect thing between the two. But he's a player that wants to win and bring a championship to the organization that drafted him. And you mentioned like they couldn't beat the Warriors without KD. They can't beat Denver without Jamal Murray. Like what? So like, yo, what am I doing? Like, we can't beat nobody and their significant star is out. That, to me, that's like, we got to rethink this whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. So we're gonna continue to follow that as well too.
For sure.
I just want my man's to get a chip, man.
Man, we are.
At the end of the day, even if he don't get a chip, honestly, like we know what he about. Everybody from this generation should know what he about as well too.
For sure.
Now let's get into the playoff previews as well too. So I want to start off hot, man. Nets versus Bucks. So everyone's calling this essentially the NBA Finals as well too, because we believe whoever wins this series is going to go on to beat the winner of the Philadelphia 76ers and Hawks matchup and get to the finals and win as well too. A lot of high power, bro. I mean, you got the city of Brooklyn. They got their three-headed snake, three-headed monster, whatever you want to call it. James Harden, you got Kyrie Irving, you got Kevin Durant, who are more hungry than ever. Then you got Giannis to go along with the perfect pairing of Drew Holiday and also to go up with Chris Middleton as well too. So you got one team who's arguably the most offensively skilled team of all time from talent perspective, and then you got another team that's they've been under the radar. They've achieved a certain level of success, but always come up short. But they got a two-time MVP and Defensive Player of the Year with two other co-stars to go along with them as well too. So you can say that it's going to be a good matchup. But we talked off air through text or group messages as well too. But I want you to tell the public, what are your expectations for the series and who you got winning and why?
Man, it's like you said, man, this is one of those ones. Like, this is where all the basketball fans are like, yo, this is one of them shits we gonna tell our kids, right? That's how they hyping it up. And I think I think I got the Bucks winning just because I feel like they play more defense, and where they excel at is Brooklyn's biggest weakness. I feel like they have more pieces that can like go saying the word guard and you talk about James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving, like it's laughable. But I feel like they have more players that match up a little bit better with those players. Vice versa is not as the same. I feel like it's going to be nothing less than sensational. I mean, James Harden, Kyrie, Kevin Durant, they gonna put their superpowers to the test. This is what we want to see, and I think Giannis this entire year he's been sitting back. I think the Miami beating Miami, my team was like that click on his head, like job not finished yet. We just beat the team. We just swept the team that beat us, and we were supposed to beat them last year. We just swept that, and they're not really celebrating. Like they look like they locked in. Like the championship is for the taking. And with Brooklyn, I think one of the major concerns that's going to come up is like their superstars only play, less than 15 games together. When shit get tight, you talked about LeBron's body language in the clutch. We haven't seen their body language in the clutch when shit doesn't go well because they've been able to win and play so well throughout the season. But what's going to happen when they down 5 with 2 minutes left and one of their superstars doesn't touch the basketball or a bad read from one of the players or a defensive collapse? How are they going to respond in those situations? They didn't really have time to build that team chemistry on the court. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. And will their role players be able to play at a high level with another team that's been together, they're playoff tested, and they know and they have high IQ basketball players, and they got fans in the arena. It's different than a bubble. Like you got real fans, so it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to play. Kevin, Kyrie, and James. Any one of them game, the motherfuckers can give you 50. That's the thing. So if you two of them off, it's one of them gonna go crazy. That's the thing you have to worry about with the Nets, and it's going to be interesting to see who defends who. I feel like you got to try to slow down James Harden and not let him get his groove. But he's so talented, he can get Drew Holiday in foul trouble where Drew Holiday not even on the court no more. Like it's going to be interesting. The type of chess, it's going to be a chess match. Whoever has the better chess strategy may win. I have the Bucks winning in 6 or 7, but then motherfuckers and Brooklyn could just go crazy and beat these niggas in 4 games. Like, so you never really know. I just think that Giannis is Giannis, man. He one of them cheat codes. He really is. So it's going to be interesting to see.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, my brother always only uses the Bucks on 2K, so that's probably why I vote for him as well too.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, this is one of the series where I'm just gonna have to sit back and watch.
Fair.
Literally see what adjustments get made from game in to game out as well too. So I'm excited to see from a coaching standpoint what is Coach Bud going to do, but more importantly, what is Steve Nash going to do as well too.
But Mike D'Antoni coaching too.
He's coaching too as well. He's definitely coaching too as well too. But I know we have the blueprint where we always say that defense wins championships.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is the year when things kind of get reverse engineered and we kind of say offense wins as well too. Like I say, you got 3 of the best, arguably the best of our generation.
For sure.
20 years scores.
For sure.
All sharing the floor at the same time as well too. It's gonna be tough, man, because like you said, one thing that the Bucks can lean on is their identity, which is grit and grind defense, getting out transition, Giannis being dominant, open up the floor for everybody as well too. They've been shooting lights out. I love the key additions that they have with my old Spur, Brent Forbes. I love the addition of PJ Tucker, trading for him as well too. I also love the addition of Drew Holiday, who's finally found his niche in there as well too. Chris Middleton, what we've been arguing as well too. Giannis can take you to the promised land, but who's going to close for you? I think Chris Middleton's earned that right and being a closer. I mean, he hit a game one against Miami as well too, where he went back and forth going to OT. And then also, you got Bobby Portis who's doing the dirty work, and
Hmm.
everyone's just seems to be playing very well. Like you said, looking at Giannis' eyes, like, and listening to him speak after every game. Like you said, he has that mindset. Like, I've been MVP.
Yeah.
My numbers showcase how talented I am. I won Defensive Player of the Year, but I've come up short in the Eastern Conference Finals. I was up 2-0, lost 4 straight. Come back next year, get the number 1 seed again, and basically get Jim sweep. Get hurt as well too. So, like you said, job's not done for him. So I expect him to be hungry. And what's crazy is like you can only lean on footage, but for so long, right? Game footage. They play each other 3 times this year. The
Yeah.
Bucks won, I think the last 2 games, but the Bucks won 2 out of 3 games as well too. Giannis actually went stupid, looking like Will Chamberlain averaged 40 against him as well too.
Mm.
So it's tough because in my head I know who I have in my who gonna win, but maybe I'll by me like talking out loud I might change my opinion. But I'm just looking at it from a defensive standpoint. If Brooklyn, you know, if Tatum can give you 1 game, then I think Giannis can at least, with his supporting cast, give you a minimum of 3 games as well, too, right?
Crazy, crazy.
Who's gonna stop Giannis, realistically speaking? Are they gonna play zone? I don't know if they're gonna play zone. Miami Heat try to do zone, but what happened?
They got too many
Every
snipe. Yeah,
bonus.
yeah.
Too many
Snipe.
snipers
Too many snipe. Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, yeah.
So you're probably gonna have to do man. And not only playing man, you're probably gonna have to sag off of Giannis, which Steve Nash tried to do, and just force him to beat him. But if Giannis is feeling himself and just knocking down at least 35% of his threes, then you're gonna have to play up on him. And what are you gonna do when you play up on him? You're gonna blow right past him as well too. So KD has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, sure.
Um, Jeff Green has that Achilles problem. He's gonna be someone who's a Swiss Army knife, who I think is gonna be very key. So how are you going to keep Giannis away from the basket? Are we going to see DeAndre Jordan get a little bit more minutes in spurts? Because I don't think Claxton's ready for that. Blake Griffin is still serviceable, but he can't stay in front of Giannis as well too. So what are you going to do? Are you going to try to build a wall on Giannis and force his role players to basically beat him? Um, like, what do you do? I just don't know from that standpoint as well too. So it's going to come down to execution.
It's
But
gonna be tough.
at the end of the day, I just feel like KD, Kyrie, Harden, even though they played, like you said, under 15 games as well too, like they're just on another level as well too. It's going to be one of those things where you just have to get stops in spurts, which I think they can. Um, but I think it's going to go 7 games, and I think the Nets are going to find a way to win as well too. But like I said, this is going to be the true test for them, to see if they can battle adversity as well too. Because I got the Bucks in rhythm. I got the Bucks winning game 1 tomorrow night, which will be Sunday.
Damn.
At least I think they're gonna set the tone, and we're gonna see. Oh, then we lost home court. All right, let's get our shit together as well too. But like I said, they don't got that much tape to lean on. So
Yeah.
the only reason why I really had the Nets winning in 7 games is because of James Harden, like you said earlier on the podcast, and like
He's
we've
tough.
been talking about. There's just there's certain levels to to just greatness. And there's 3 players, like we said, that come to mind on who can literally dictate the pace of the game and still give you buckets, literally possession by possession. James Harden, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James. If Trey Young can keep playing a
Yeah,
little bit
Trey
more,
Young.
getting more for
Yeah.
himself, he's gonna be up there as well too. Maybe LaMelo Ball in the future. I don't know yet, but those are the 3 as well too. You really can't prepare for that as well too. So in my mind, I'm like, yo, James Harden is not only going to get his teammates involved, but he's going to get to the free throw line as well too. So they're going to be able to play at their pace. And when these other players go out, because normally what they do is they'll have James Harden come out first, so he can run with the second unit as well too. So they're always going to get looks and basically
Yeah.
kind of see like that Luka effect as well too. So I don't really think they miss a step offensively. And even if they go down, I think they have an ability to come back as well too. So I'm thinking who gonna guard Harden?
Mm.
PJ Tucker,
It
Drew
might.
Holiday. I don't know. DiVincenzo's out as well too. Huge blow. Who's gonna guard who? I think I think the best shot for the Bucks is to put Drew on Harden and basically essentially force Harden to have the ball out of his hands and let a person like Kyrie and KD beat you because they're going to get their buckets regardless. But if you can disengage Harden and not let him get the Joe Harrises of the world, open shots, Landry Shamans of the world, open shots, a cut to the basket from Bruce Brown or Claxton and DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin in lives, I think you have a chance. But overall, I just think that they're going to be too overwhelmed. And I got the Nets winning 7 as well too.
Yeah.
So as much as I love the Bucks, I'm not gonna be mad either way.
Same.
Because I rock with Giannis and I rock with the jiggy ass big three as well too. So
Same.
whoever wins, that's fine with me. But at the end of the day, I just think the Nets, like, this is house money. Like this is what you gutted your roster for to get these guys. So it's a failure if you don't win the championship this year. It's championship. I mean, it's championship or bust for every team, but for this team, it's championship or bust for real.
Yeah.
I got the Nets in 7, but it's going to be a dog fight where it may go back and forth every game. At most, the team wins 2 games, but it's going to be interesting, man. So I'm excited to see what Giannis.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, man. But
it's going to be tough.
Like I said, it's going to be key. Is Brent Forman's going to continue to shoot lights out, and then also, is Jeff Green going to be able to come back? DiVincenzo, we already know he's hurt as well too. I think they said he had a plantar fasciitis or something like that. I believe something.
Yeah,
like that.
He's done for the season.
Oh no, I think a tendon injury. So
yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to see. But next man up mentality. That's what we've been preaching the past season. So this is what the moment's for. So gonna be a great series. Moving on from that. We got the Atlanta Hawks, who are the number 5 seed, going up against the 76ers as well, too. Now, they played 3 times, January 11th, the 28th, and 30th. Shout out to Warren. Atlanta won 112-94, and then Philadelphia won the last 2 games by damn near 30 points.
Mm-hmm.
As well, too. So, obviously, Trae Young has kind of made a name for himself. He's probably going to be the new villain of New York in the Garden as well, too. Shout out to him. Shout out to Nate McMillan and that whole team just getting everything ready to roll as well. My whole thing is, like we said last podcast episode, this is set up for Philadelphia to get this is set up for Philadelphia to cakewalk to at least the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah,
they took care of business in 5 games with the Wizards, and now they got a young Atlanta Hawks team who has tasted some playoff success. Obviously, we'll talk about the Knicks on another day as well too, but the Knicks just didn't necessarily have the personnel to match their scoring, and we kind of also learned that Julius Randle isn't the number 1 option as of right now. But honestly, if Embiid can play, then I think it's a gentleman's sweep. If Embiid can't play, I think it's going to take them about 7 games to beat the Hawks as well too. But it's going to be tough because Joel Embiid has a small meniscus tear.
Yeah.
And with him, he's a little injury prone as well too. I mean, he sat out his first 2 seasons, I believe, of his back and his foot and his knee. What Joel Embiid are we going to expect? And is Joel Embiid are they gonna be like, all right, well, let's sit you out game 1, see if we can win since we have home court. Oh, we lose game 1. Maybe now it's time to bring you back in for game 2. I'm a little worried about that as well. But Ben Simmons is probably gonna be guarding Trae Young. So all that shit that Trae Young be doing, he gonna get his numbers, but it's gonna be very inefficient. I just feel like Ben Simmons is that's what he's here for, to shut that shit down and make him work as well too. But I think with the talent that they have, I really don't see Capella guarding Joel Embiid like that. And then we got Tobias Harris and we got Ben Simmons leading the charge and generating, 3-point shots for his team. I just feel like Philly's a better team. I like the Hawks. Like I said, I think they can win 1 game. If there's no Embiid, they can go 7 games. But I think it's just a bad matchup in general as well too. So there's not that much thought to go into it. What about you? Who you got winning and why?
No Embiid, I think the Hawks can upset them. With Embiid, I think the Philly can win at most 6 games. It's going to be interesting though. Like for Philly, do you want to not play Joel Embiid the first game, give him extra time to rest, and see what a Ben Simmons Philly-led team can do against the Hawks? Or do you want to bring him back and make sure that, we win this game 1 for sure? So it's going to be interesting. I think the Hawks' confidence is skyrocketing, and people are still unsure about Ben Simmons. Can he be the guy on a championship team, even though he can't shoot the basketball? Like, that's going to be the narrative behind the scene. And I think Philly can still play outstanding defense, but your best player, like, can we put the ball in our best player's hand down the stretch, even though he's a poor free throw shooter, right? Are things that Philly is going to have to deal with strategically. Like, how are we going to do this if Joel Embiid doesn't play? But with that being said, I think Philly without Joel Embiid has the same talent type level to compete with the Hawks. It's just that Embiid is one of them ones, right? Like, he give you 30 and 14 rebounds. Like, those are things you just can't account for. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think Philly's going to win the series, but it's all dependent on if Embiid is healthy and can play.
Yeah, and another thing is we kind of have a blueprint. Hack a Shaq, hack a whoever who's a bad free throw.
Yeah.
So if they're close games,
it's gonna be tough.
I won't be surprised if Nate McMillan takes a play out of the book of Scott Brooks, just fouls him, especially if there's no Joel Embiid, because I believe the Hawks are a way better defensive team than the Washington Wizards. And I think with Trae Young, even though it's going to be hard for him, he's going to get his favorable matchups. Probably going to get a lot of switches to get Seth Curry on him as well too, or even like a Danny Green to an extent, or Tobias. But I think Trae Young will have the ability to control the pace of the game and at least keep them in position for it to be a close game. And he has enough shooting where they can go toe for toe. But Capella, are you going to be a man or are you going to be a little kid? You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be something to look out for as well too. But if they can keep it close, I'm hacking Ben Simmons the whole time. You're going to beat me. You're going to have to beat me to get where I need to go. I anticipate that Joel Embiid should be good to go. I've never really heard of someone playing on a partially torn meniscus before, so that's kind of concerning given
it's a small tear. That's what they say.
I mean, doctors say one thing.
Yeah,
they want to get you to play. But
for sure.
Like I said, it's one of those things where we're just going to have to watch game by game. So I have a mindset that Embiid at most will just miss game one, and he will play the rest of the series. But Embiid playing, gentleman sweep. Embiid don't play, Philly in 7. But that's my opinion right there as well. Another thing I want to, kind of talk about as well too. We talked about the soon-to-be MVP, and Nikola Jokic is going to go up against Devin Booker and the Red Hot Suns as well too. Going to be a great series. Tell me your thoughts on that series. What are the keys to winning, and who you got winning?
The key to winning for Phoenix is Chris Paul's health, and then will DeAndre Ayton be able to play like he played against the Lakers, and what type of production we're going to get from Phoenix's role player. I think if those things are high and Chris Paul is healthy, I think they have a real chance of beating Denver, because we already know what Devin Booker is going to give, right? He's an assassin. He's a straight killer. But if Chris Paul isn't healthy and DeAndre Ayton doesn't play as well as he plays for the Lakers, I think they have no chance in beating this Denver Nuggets team. The key to success for Denver is Joker is going to have to be Joker. Like, he's proved that all year. He's going to have to give you 30 with 10 assists and 10 rebounds type performances, and he's able to do that. And what type of Michael Porter are we going to get? This kid, he's a superstar. Like, he's an emerging superstar in this league, and he's so young. He's 6'10", can shoot the Tracy. Like, I don't know what is he going to be able to play at that high level? And then it's the bench. It's the bench for Denver. Are they going to be able to have that type of production that they had against the Portland Trailblazer? And is Austin Rivers going to perform in the second round? So it's going to be interesting. Phoenix has a very good defense. I know shout out to Coach Monty. He's probably has some schemes that he's probably going to play against Denver, but let's see. I think Denver can win this series without Jamal Murray and without their starting shooting. That's how nice Joker is. Like he's that nice. But it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna see. I got Denver winning in 6.
Wow, your favorite number 6 today, huh? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
for sure.
Man, it's one of those series where I don't know, right? You got one of the best offenses, at least in the postseason at number 4, Denver averaging 120.8, but that's, contributed to the terrible defense that Portland Trailblazers play. Then you have one of the best defensive teams all year long, been top 5, Phoenix Suns, who have been holding opponents to in the postseason, at least the Lakers, to 97.5 points as well too. So to further expand on that as well, let's take a look at that. It's gonna be crazy. So for the series, at least in the regular season, let me pull up these stats right here. I think it's at the top right here. Hold up real quick. Suns Nuggets. Shout out to Warren once again. All
Shout
right,
out
so
Warren.
yeah, lagging a little bit. Okay. Season series. So season series, they played each other. Let me see. That's Utah Dallas. Where is the? There we go. They played each other 3 times this year. First game, Phoenix won by 3, 106-103. Second game, Phoenix won 130-126. And then third game, these are all with Murray, by the way. Denver won 120-112 in overtime as well, too. It seems like Jokic put up his numbers, but I feel like it's crazy because, like you said, with the Bucks in that series, defense is going to come down to it as well. I think that series with Portland and Denver could have won either way, but like I said, Damian Lillard's teammates kind of let them down, and they don't have a defensive identity. They don't even have an identity for real. It's Dame or bust.
Damn.
But the person I'm going to look out for is Chris Paul. I think they play. I wanted to say they play Sunday or Monday. I can't.
I think Monday.
Really
Monday.
Hopefully they play Monday, so that'll give Chris Paul even more time as well too. But I got Phoenix. Like I think Jokic can beat them. Definitely beat them without it. But I think just from a defensive standpoint and the way that the Suns move the basketball as well too, I don't think no one's going to be able to stop Booker. I mean, you're probably going to what? Who you gonna put on Booker? I don't know who you really gonna put on Booker. I don't know who's gonna stop him as well too. I just think they just have an identity from the defensive standpoint, and they move the ball beautifully as well too. So it's gonna come down to, can you get timely stops, and can Chris Paul beat all-star level Chris Paul as well too with this X amount of rest as well, or at least play decoy to an extent as well too. Michael Porter Jr., you're probably going to have to put some matching with physicality because he's a big dude as well, but I'm not leaving him open. I'm forcing him to beat me off the dribble, which he really doesn't. His handles kind of says as well, too. So Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, all of them have their work cut out for them as well, too. But I think it's going to be one of those things where the Denver's role players are gonna not play as well due to the defensive intensity as well too. Because like you said with Portland, there's wide open shots every now and then. So Jokic is gonna put up his numbers, but I would hope that DeAndre Ayton is a better defensive matchup as opposed to Nurk and his Cantor, or I think they had Robert Covington and Melo on him at sometimes too. So I see it going both ways, but I think it's gonna be one of those things where home court just prevails. Suns are gonna win first 2, Nuggets win next 2, then 1-1-1-1. So
damn,
I got the Suns winning in 7, and Booker just being on that mama mentality, and the team just playing great defense at the end of the day. So, like I said, it's gonna be a huge thing because I'm gonna have to wait to see what it looks like with Chris Paul and shoulder. But I think this is the Suns' year where they just make a deep playoff run, and they've arrived. And I think we're actually going to see where Jamal Murray's presence is going to be felt. But then again, Joker been. It don't matter who you put on him.
He's
It
cold.
don't matter. So,
He's cold.
I mean, it could go either way, man. But I'm really leaning on that defense as well too, because the Suns can score with the best of them, and they also strap as well too. So I got the Suns just because they're more of a well-balanced team as opposed to the Portland Trailblazers as well too. Now, obviously, in less than an hour and a half, we got a game 6 with Dallas versus Clippers as well too. Um, and obviously, last time we had the two scenarios, right? What if this team wins, or what if that team wins? Then what the match is going to look like as well too. I'm a Clippers fan. You already know with the 2 home games as well too. I feel like I'm starting to become bad luck. Whenever I go to a Clippers game, they lose. But let's do 2 different scenarios for the viewers just in case. And Warren obviously is going to chop this out as well. Let's say Dallas wins tonight, which I anticipate them win. I don't see them. I don't see. My heart. I want the Clippers to win. Obviously,
wow.
Luka just can't be stopped, and we still haven't proved that we can handle high leverage games in the crunch time as well too. So, I think it's going to be one of those games where they just try to get them out the way, kind of like how Phoenix did.
Mm-hmm.
And will they be able to succumb to that and just have that firepower? I don't know. But I got Mavs winning.
Wow.
And let's say that the Mavs play Utah. So we're going to do Mavs scenario and then we're going to do a Clippers scenario. Let's say Mavs play Utah. Who do you got winning and why?
Utah. I think Utah they move the ball so well. They have great defense. Like Rudy Gobert can move his feet. So if Luka runs the high screen and roll, like Rudy Gobert can go out there and switch, like, and make it difficult for Luka. And Utah has great defenders. They're smart. There's like, and when you're playing a player like Luka Doncic, you have to be smart as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you on some fuck shit, he's gonna tear you apart. And one of the things I like about that Utah team is how fundamentally sound they are on the defensive end and offensive end. So if you like, they don't play ISO basketball. They're gonna be moving the ball. That's gonna make Luka work. He's gonna have to be on high alert when he's playing defense. Then then when he's on offense, they're going to make you work offensively because you got to think they're probably going to try to move Rudy Gobert away from the basket, right? But you got to think they're going to make you work defensively. They're going to challenge you. They're going to play hard, and they got snipers too. And Donovan Mitchell, if he gets on a switch with Luka, like they have a player like Donovan Mitchell who can attack high screen and rolls as well, and then the second unit can be led by Mike Conley, who can also maintain that level of production coming off the bench. So now you got a smart team, a very disciplined team, and a great defender in Rudy Gobert, who might win Defensive Player of the Year this year. Like, that's what you need to beat Luka. That's how great Luka is. Like, you need those type of high quality, high IQ basketball players. So I think if Utah does that, they win. For the Mavs, I think in order for them to win, they're going to have to do what they're doing against the Clipper. These motherfuckers going to have to be on green. Like Tim Hardaway Jr. going to have to be Ray Allen again. Like the snipers have to be out. Like in order to beat this Utah. And Luka has to be Luka, sensation. And Luka can do that. Like he can literally average 30 in a series. Like it's nothing. Like he's that cold. Like that's how cold he is. Like he's a special talent. He's a special player. So he can average 30 and 10 like it's nothing. Like it, and come back and smile at the end of the game like he ain't break a sweat. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of player he is. So
I see why they call this motherfucker the modern day Larry Bird.
Yeah, like
he basically tell you gonna bust your ass.
Yeah,
he's gonna bust your ass and back it up as well too.
He's cold.
And like I said, seeing him play live, bro. I've seen LeBron play live. I've seen Kawhi, PG. I've seen Bradley Beal, John Wall, Drew Holiday, the big three with the Spurs, D Wade. All these cats play. Kyle Lowry, Pascal, Fred VanVleet, all them dudes play.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi on his own level.
Yeah.
LeBron on his own level. Luka on his own, in his own solar system.
He's dope.
It's just ridiculous seeing this guy play. Like, it's demoralizing.
Mm.
It's actually demoralizing, and he's literally unguardable.
Oh
Like, he's
yeah.
unguardable. You would think with someone who, for the regular season, has been shooting 33% from three, and he's shooting over 40%, I believe, in this series. Um, he's not the most athletic. He's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily the tallest, but his IQ
Yeah.
and his skill set is just on another level as well
Mm.
too. So no matter what defense you pull at him, if you take the ball out of his hands, his teammates, he's going to make the right play. His
Mm-hmm.
teammates are going to make the jump, his shots as well too. He's going to get a favorable matchup. Put Donovan Mitchell on me, he only 6'1". Mike
Mm-hmm.
Conley on me, only 6 feet.
Yeah.
You're going to put Joe Ingles, you're too slow.
Yeah.
Boban, you're too slow. Rudy
Mm-hmm.
Gobert, that's fool. So I do believe that the Utah Jazz have their identity set in place, and they're a more well-rounded team, and are a better defensive team, and they're not going to have as much lapses as well. But one thing that we're going to have to look out for is, even if Dallas wins this series against the Clippers and can at least force a Game 7, Mike Conley's going to need as much time as possible because he has a hamstring injury. He left
Yeah.
last game that people forget. Game 5, he left that game due to hamstring injury, and he re-aggravated as well too. This is a Mike Conley who finally made an All-Star this year, and
Mm.
against Memphis, who a pretty gritty team, averaged 20 and 10, which I
Mm.
didn't even expect was going to happen. So if you don't got Mike Conley, I got Dallas winning that series in 7.
Damn.
But if you have Mike Conley as well too, I just feel like this has been Utah's year. So they're gonna find a way to neutralize Luka's, role players. So I got Utah winning in 7 if Donovan Mitchell, not Donovan Mitchell, if Mike Conley can at least play at least 4 to 5 games as well too. So it's
Mm.
just gonna come down to taking the ball out of Luka's hands and forcing everybody else to beat you. But it's really hard to you're not gonna stop him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's gonna get at least 10 and 6 every night as well too. But I think Utah will do a better job at neutralizing their role players as opposed to the Los Angeles Clippers as well too. But it's one of those series where it can go either way.
Mm-hmm.
But Porzingis is gonna have to step up if they have any form of a chance as well too. That shit where you just stand at the 3-point line the whole time, like you got to be a man. Like, you 7'2", bro. Like,
For
go
sure.
to work inside. But he is going to be able to keep Rudy Gobert out of the paint as well too, which is going to work numbers for him. But um, I got Utah. They've been the number one team. They've been the number one team the whole year for a reason. They've been one of the most disrespected teams as well too. And I just feel like Donovan Mitchell is just out to prove everyone wrong as well too. They got enough shooting as well too on their end. They have a superstar, Donovan Mitchell, and 2 other All Stars to go along with them as well too. You pair that with a great coach, great defensive schemes. I think home court is going to matter as well too, and they win in 7. So
Mm.
that's who I got. Now, before we end the podcast, going over to the Clippers. Let's say the Clippers, find a way to win Game 6. Pray that they win Game 6. Force a Game 7. Play at the Staples Center, and find a way to beat the odds and go up against Denver. I'm not Denver. I'm so sorry, Utah. Who you got
Utah.
winning?
I actually got the Clippers. I think if the Clippers play the Jazz, I mean, Kawhi and Pete, there's nobody on that team that can guard Kawhi and PG. Nobody. And then you can play Zubac, right? So you don't really have to try to go small. Like, you can go traditional lineups, and if you want to go small, you can. Like, Zubac won't be a liability in this matchup, right? And I think the Clippers have dynamic wings that can stop or slow down a Donovan Mitchell, or make it difficult for a Donovan Mitchell and a Mike Conley. Those 2 guards are, first and foremost, they're not as tall as Luka Doncic, and they don't play like Luka to really exploit all the weaknesses of the Clippers defense. So I think that matchup, like, if who you gonna put on Kawhi and PG, if they see Ingles, that's food for them, right? Like, they don't have to worry about a player who can give them 30 and 10 consistently the way Luka does. It's more, Utah's more by team like more by offense by committee, defense by committee. So I think the Clippers can beat the Utah Jazz in 6 or 7 if that's the matchup they get. I feel like Utah would probably want to see Dallas instead of the Clippers, because if the Clippers turn it on, they can be scary. That's the thing. People are like, which Clippers are you going to get? Are we going to get all those dogs? Because we don't like Kawhi. Still Kawhi, man. He's still a 29-10 player. So I think the Clippers, if they meet up with the Jazz, can beat them and make it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, if the Clippers find a way, like I said, I got Mavs. Just too many errors down the stretch that the Clippers do. Like, unless the Clippers get out and knock them out early, if it's a close game, I got the Mavs. But if in a hypothetical world, maybe I'll prove myself wrong. Hopefully, if the Clippers go up against Utah, I got the Clippers in 6 easily. Like you said, there's only a few players: James Harden,
Yeah,
LeBron James, and
for sure.
Luka,
That
Trae Young in the future, who can
amen.
literally manipulate the game. So all that shit that they be doing, Utah be doing, PG and Kawhi gonna lock that shit down. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, like you said, no one can guard them. You can actually play Zubac a lot of minutes if you want to. You can also throw out DeMarcus Cousins
That's
if
what
you
I'm
want
saying.
to.
So you can
So
utilize more of your bigs. Yeah.
so they're gonna force Rudy Gobert to essentially probably get out the game as well too. But no one really fears Rudy Gobert like that. I just feel like Ty Lue's gonna outcoach Schneider, and I just feel like the depth is gonna kind of show. And I think if they've been through that adversity, being down 2-0, then being down 3-2, having to go on the road and win, and then coming back at home as well, then if they've mastered that or got out of that, I really see no way of them kind of losing against Utah as well too, because let's not forget Utah has. I mean, obviously Donovan Mitchell hurt his ankle later on in the season as well too, but they're one of those teams early on who wasn't affected by COVID, who wasn't really affected by injury bug like that. Kawhi PG kind of been out the lineup. We saw Serge Ibaka back go down as well too. And then they had to basically reintegrate a couple, players into the Clippers roster like a Ray John Rondo and whatnot, and Boogie Cousins as well too. So I think the Clippers have the depth mixed with the top tier talent, mixed with this just the experience in general to get them over the hump if they happen to go up against Utah. And like I said, they win the 6, but Donovan Mitchell is gonna do Donovan Mitchell things, but I just feel like they're undersized, and that's gonna also be another thing as well. Two sides are gonna show. So you got muscle bodies for Donovan Mitchell. You can actually play Patrick Beverly this series against them, so that's gonna be nice. But I like the mesh between the guard and forwards and the bigs, going head for head, side by side against Utah and against the Clippers. So I got Clippers in 6 in an alternate universe if they
Wow.
happen to win as well too. So I didn't want to be biased, man. Like I said, I've been watching how the series pans out. I know the Clippers can get it done against the Mavs, but I don't know, man. They just be acting goofy. I don't know if it's just because I think they just need to get the hell up out of Staples Center, bro.
That
They
might
just need
be.
to get out of there, bro. They need to get out of there, bro. I don't know if there's some juju in there. Like, how do you lose 3 home games? I don't understand, but we'll see what happens, man. They play in what, an hour, so
In and
it's
out.
gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit. But any departing words you want to say for this episode?
It's always a pleasure to come and rock it with you on the Seezus podcast. If you're a fan of the show, please subscribe, show love, follow my man on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and shout out. It's been a pleasure. This NBA season is great. I love all the commentary that's coming out. Shout out to all the players, the staff, the coaching staff during COVID. It's been crazy. So I'm just a fan of good hoops. Ultimately, if we get good hoops and we get good competition, I'm cool with that, man. So shout out to all these players and coaches and staff, everybody that's giving us some form of entertainment during COVID, man. Shout out to all of them.
For sure. Appreciate you having being on the show as well too.
For sure,
Always
bro.
good talking hoops with you. So hopefully I'm right with all my predictions this time. Hopefully the Clippers find a way to change my mind, but I don't know.
We'll see, man.
Man.
That's why you play
I'm,
the
I'm,
game.
I'm gonna have that belief, but at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to execution and who won it most. Because after a certain amount of games, like you already know
Who
what
you
the
are.
hell, you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna see what's good. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 110 of the Seezus Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media
So
at Sir Seezus at the Seezus Show. We out.
we out, bro.